Hey you. Sorry it's been so long. I've been having to take care of someone who got COVID here. Luckily I didn't get it, so there's that. Been tending to him and then working when I can and streaming almost every day, if not every day. So, doing my best. So let's get back to Magic Bites by Ilona Lewis, okay? It was close to 2 o'clock when a single cab made its way up the avenue below me. I raised binoculars to my eyes. The door of the cab opened and a blonde stepped onto the pavement. She was tall and very slender. The short black dress clung to her narrow hips and long waist flaring to artfully enclosed breasts that looked too large for her body. Her hair, so pale it shimmered white, fell to her shoulders without a trace of a curl. Her face was perfectly formed with high, prominent cheekbones, aquiline nose, huge eyes, and a full mouth. As she strode to the high-rise, her face wore an expression which, on someone else less attractive, would be called a snare. Elegant, graceful, and arrogant in her beauty, she was like a young Arabian horse, haughty and cruel, and an irresistible challenge to any male. A lone passerby stopped, struck by the sight of her. I thought he whistled, but could not tell for sure. The blonde ignored his presence without even trying. For her, he simply did not exist. I put away the binoculars and returned to my almanac. 5 minutes later, the lock clicked and the blonde walked through the door. She saw me and stopped. The snare vanished. Oh, good. I have something for you. Not again. She went to the kitchen, retrieved several protein cans from the cabinet, and put them onto the bar. A bag of dried apricots joined the cans together with a bag of sugar, a block of chocolate, and an oversized blender. She took a carton of eggs from the fridge and cracked 3 into the blender, 2 handfuls of apricots, followed with several cups of sugar, the chocolate, and the contents of at least 6 cans. Ice water, the blonde murmured, nodding to the drink I had gotten myself. You could have gotten something from the bar. I wanted water, I said. The blonde smiled, a strange expression on her face, and turned on the blender. The blade spun, converting the contents into a thick, uniform paste. She unplugged the blender, detached the top with a practiced twist, and drank straight from it. What is it, about 2/3 of a gallon? I asked. She stopped drinking for a moment. Closer to 3/4, actually. She finished and unceremoniously pulled her dress over her head. I looked at my book. Are you uncomfortable? The blonde laughed, stripping her stockings. No, just giving you a bit of privacy, and hoping to miss the glorious moment when my stomach would clench and squirt its burning contents into my throat. You could just admit that I make you ill. There is that. How do you like her? The blonde asked next. I glanced up and saw her standing nude on the floor. Not bad for an ice queen. The breasts are too large. The blonde grimaced. Yes, I know. Why a woman? I wondered. Because I deal in information, Kate, and men tend to blab their secrets to beautiful women. She smiled. As you well know. I usually have to threaten men with bodily harm before they tell me secrets. And I feel sorry for those men. They obviously have poor tastes. Do you know who makes the converters that go into our Fey lamps? I have no idea. There are 4 companies, actually. By the end of the week, the city council will decide which one of them gets a municipal contract for the next 3 years. Right now, there are 3 people in the city who know how they will vote. Let me guess, you're one of them. The blonde didn't answer, but her smile widened just a little, permitting a brief glimpse of white teeth. Even a financial moron like me knew the price of that kind of information had to be astronomical. Her muscles moved, stretching, twisting, as if a tangle of worms suddenly came to life under her skin. My stomach lurched. I clenched my teeth and tried to keep my dinner where it belonged. The blonde's pelvis shifted, her shoulders grew broad, her legs thickened, while her breasts dissolved, forming a massive male chest. Ropes of muscles coiled, shaping powerful legs and huge arms. The bones of her face crawled, the nose thickening, the jaw becoming strong and square, the eye color darkening to piercing, intense blue. The hair dissolved and grew again, this time turning dark brown. I blinked and a man stood before me, muscular with the crisp exactness of a professional bodybuilder, He was towering and quite well endowed. Blue eyes glared at me from the flat face of a born fighter, no sharp edges, no jutting bone to shatter under a punch. A bit of armor, he would earn the loyalty of any barbarian horde. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice deep and commanding. I eyed him. Impressive, but too much. He leaned toward me, the blue eyes smoky with the promise I was sure he could fulfill. I tried not to think of the bedroom. Too much? Yes, I like the menace. It's very masculine, but he looks like he would screw everything in sight and call me wench. The barbarian king before me rubbed the bridge of his nose. What exactly leads you to that conclusion? I'm not sure. Something in the eyes, I think. So it's a no? It's a no. I'll have to work on him. The barbarian deflated, his awesome musculature slimming into a leaner build. The hair vanished, leaving the head bald, and the face grew longer, with intelligent dark eyes and a large nose. The man I knew as Simon strode to the bar and drew a glass of water from the sink faucet. Business, he said, glancing at the M-scan. Yes. He nodded, drained his glass, and refilled it. I can't feel a trace of magic, I said. Yet you seem to have no problem metamorphosing. Why is that? He arched an eyebrow at me, a gesture so much like my own that I could have sworn he copied it from me. It was likely. Simon often mimicked the mannerisms of his clients. He did it consciously, but knowing it unnerved them. The key word is seem. Metamorphosis now requires concentration, while during the magic tide it flows naturally. But to answer the essence of your question, I believe my body stores magic like a battery. Perhaps it even produces its own. He downed the second glass and approached the couch. How long have I kept you waiting? Not too long. For a moment I thought he would make a comment about the view, and then I wouldn't be able to help myself and have to ask him to shield his own view with some clothes. Fortunately, he withdrew to the bedroom. Simon was driven by the desire to create his own Uberman, a super male that would be irresistible to women. The sexual aspect of his quest interested him much less than the scientific motivation to craft an image of a perfect human being. He engaged in this pursuit of an ultimate shape for purposes unknown, for I truly had no idea what he would do with this Uberman if he ever succeeded. He approached the challenge with the same methodical logic he applied to everything, attempting to gather feedback from a wide pool of subjects, most of whom have no idea what he truly looked like. Long ago I argued that his Uberman simply could not exist, even if he did succeed in creating an image of this essential male. It would fail his expectations. Too much depended on the interaction between two human beings, and ultimately, it was that interaction that led to intimacy. He debated me with great passion, and I had learned not to argue anymore. We met during a Merc gig a year ago, bodyguard detail. All Mercs did one sooner or later, and it was just my luck I drew Simon. He was injured at the time, confined to his bed by post-operative complication from his stomach surgery. His body kept changing while it fought the infection, and he proved very difficult to guard. I managed to kill 2 of the assassins sent to dispatch him. He killed the 3rd with a pencil through the eye. I thought I had botched the job, but he has seemed grateful ever since. I didn't complain. His services didn't come cheap. Simon returned wearing loose clothes of dark blue that were cut like common sweats, but looked too expensive to be soiled by that moniker. He looked at the almanac, still open in my lap, the article Bono had given me a few days back, laying on the page. Cut from the Volshevsta. E. Kolduni. What a pretentious title, as if writing spells and warlocks would somehow lend them more credibility by doing it in Russian. I didn't know you read that trash. I don't. The article was given to me by an acquaintance. The problem with those rags is that the people who publish them don't realize the magic is fluid. They print erroneous information. It was an old argument and a valid one. People affected magic just as much as magic affected them. If enough people believed something to be true, sometimes the magic obliged and made it true. Simon scanned the article. It's incomplete and full of garbage as always. They classify the Uper as a corpse-eating undead. Look, they correctly state the Uper has an enormous sexual appetite, but are unaware of the contradiction. An undead has no urge to mate, therefore an Uper cannot be undead. They also mention that it will try to mate with anything mammal it can secure long enough to achieve a climax, but fail to note that the product of such union usually survives to serve the pair. He dropped the article in disgust. If you ever need to know more about this creature, let me know. I will. So, what brings you to my humble abode? I need an M scan evaluated. He arched his eyebrow again. I could learn to hate him. Very well, I'll charge you by the hour. Our usual discount starting. He glanced at his watch. Now. Do you want a complete workup? He asked. No, just the basics. I can't afford the fancy stuff. Cheap client? I'm working pro bono. He grimaced. Kate, that's a horrible habit. I know. He took the chart, holding it gently with his long fingers. What interests you? A series of small yellow lines toward the bottom. What would register yellow? And how much is the answer going to cost me? A great question. Let me run a test to make sure this isn't a mechanical failure. I followed him to the lab. A forest of equipment that would make the personnel of an average college lab giddy with joy rested on black surfaces of flame-resistant tables and counters. Simon donned a green waterproof apron and a pair of slick, opaque gloves, reached under the table and produced a ceramic tray. With a practiced economic movement, he took the tray to a glass cube in the corner. What are you doing? I asked. I'm going to scan the M-scan to pick up any residual traces of magic. Full enclosure. I don't want any contamination. I can't afford it. It's free. Your altruism infected me. You still have to pay for my time, of course. He touched the lever and the cube rose upward on a metal chain. Simon slid the tray onto the ceramic platform and lowered the cube so the glass enclosed the tray. His fingers danced across the keyboard and an explosion of green color flooded the cubicle. It died, flashed again, died, and a printer chattered on a different table. Belching a piece of paper, he ripped it free and handed it to me. It was blank, a control to make sure no magic traces contaminated the tray. Simon attached the M-scan to the tray, slid it into the cube, and repeated his elaborate high-tech dance. This time the printer produced an exact copy of my M-scan. Simon pondered it for a moment and leaned against the table, M-scan in hand. The problem is the M-scanner is imperfect. My heart sank. So it's a malfunction? In a manner of speaking, as of now, the scanner is an imperfect instrument. It registers humans in various shades of light blue to silver, but it frequently fails to document the subtle tint of their magic. Almost anything except the most radical variations, such as purple for a vampire or green for a shape-changer, escapes it. A clairvoyant and a diviner of roughly equal power would register in the same color, even though their magic inclinations differ. And Simon allowed himself a thin-lipped smile. It registers all Farah magic as white. Farah, as in feral? Animal magic? Each animal species exudes its own specific magic. The common M-reader documents it as white, so we don't even see it. Recently, some bright minds in Kyoto examined a wide variety of animals using a hypersensitive scanner. They conclusively proved that each species of animals produced its own color, faint, pastel, but distinct, and always a derivative of yellow. So the yellow lines mean animals. On a superb scanner, yes, but on our piece of junk, the animals would most likely register white. The only way we would notice them is through mixing with some other magical influence. You lost me. Look at your lines. They have a light peach tint. It's very faint, but that peach is the only reason we can see the lines in the first place. It means that you are facing something that is mostly animal but has been tainted with something else. My head swam. Okay, let me reiterate this. All animal magic registers as white, but is truly pale yellow. A very weak yellow that is easily dominated by all other colors. There is no way to see that pale yellow except when it's mixed with some other color. The yellow of the wolf's mixing with the blue of human makes the hunter green of a lycanthrope. By this reasoning, the wolf, where an animal shape-shifting into a human, would register as a swampy green. Am I right so far? He nodded. The fact that I can see the yellow lines mean that the scanner showed the presence of something with strong animal magic and a touch of something else. Since the lines are peach, they are likely suspect would be orange. I bit off the last word. Orange. Came from red, and red was the color of necromantic magic. So man confirmed my deduction. It's an animal that has some connection with necromantic magic. I don't know what kind. It certainly isn't an animal zombie. That registers as a dark red. Have fun. I groaned. Time is money, he said, so I suggest you save your ruminations for later. Do you have anything else for me? No. He looked at his watch. 37 minutes. Wrote a check for $962, which left exactly $400.09 in my checking account. I had $500 in savings to use in case of emergency. If more money didn't come my way soon, I'd have to consider a change of venue. I handed him the check. He didn't bother looking at it. Let me know how it turns out, he said, with a customary smile. You'll be the first to hear. And Kate, if you change your mind about my latest prototype, the offer still stands. Piercing blue eyes and enormous muscles flashed before my mind's eye. That way lay dragons. Thanks, but it isn't likely. As I strode out of the apartments, I decided that I didn't like the hint of smile playing on Simon's lips. Chapter 4. I awoke in Greg's apartment close to 7 and reached for the phone. Dialing Jim's number resulted in 3 rings, a click and a beep of the answering machine without any forewarning message. I left the iconic "call me" and hung up. He would be none too pleased. The morning after a night of hunting was a time for serene contemplation, as sacred of the shapeshifters as meditation to the Shaolin monk. Caught between man and beast, the shapeshifters sought complete control over each other, so they met the sunrise looking inward. Their moment of self-reflection completed, they succumbed to peaceful sleep. I had little doubt that Jim had hunted last night in the unicorn. He was likely to be asleep already, and the machine would be beep announcing the message until it drove him crazy. I smiled at the thought. I stretched, working up the kinks of my shoulder and back. I kicked at the shadow of the wall, putting all I had into it, but never touching my imaginary opponent. I cycled through some of the basic kicks, from snap, roundhouse, thrust, finishing with more elaborate forms. After 10 minutes, I broke a sweat and pushed on for another 20. Working mostly on strength in my arms, shoulders, and chest. Greg did not own weights, so I used a heavy, lead-filled mace instead of a dumbbell. It was poorly balanced, but it was better than nothing. I had not lifted for a few days, and I felt weaker than usual. Still, the controlled, determined exertion felt good, and my mood improved gradually, so by the time the shower started calling to me, I was almost upbeat. The phone rang just as my hand touched the bathroom door. I did a 180, expecting Jim on the line. Jim? Hello, said a male voice. It was pleasant, well-modulated, and clear. I'd heard it before, but it took me a minute to remember where. Dr. Crane? Crest. Yes, the toothpaste. Named charity worker. How the hell did he get my number? Can I help you? I was hoping you'd have lunch with me. Persistent bugger. How did you get my number? I called to the order and lied to them. I said that I had information concerning the dead vampire and gave them my credentials. They gave me this number. I see. So, will you join me? I'm very busy. But you have to eat once in a while. I'd really like to see you again. Someplace less formal. Give me a chance, and if the lunch doesn't work out, I'll vanish from your horizon. Thought about it and realized I wanted to say yes. It was completely a ludicrous thing to do. I was sitting on top of a bomb, and both the pack and the people stood ready to light the fuse, and here I was, considering a date. How long had it been since I have been on a real date? 2 years? It's the deal, I said. I'll meet you between 12 and 12:30 at Las Colinas. Do you know where it is? You know. And Dr. Crest? Just Crest, please. Crest, please don't call the order again. I expected him to be taken aback, but he said cheerfully, Yes, ma'am, and hung up. Stepping into the shower, I tried to figure out why I had agreed to meet him. There'd be a reason, something besides feeling lonely and tired and wanting normal human contact. Male human contact. The kind of male that didn't warp into a monster or shift muscles around its frame with the ease of changing clothes. Perhaps I would use this opportunity to pump him for information about the morgue's treatment of the dead vamp. Yeah, that was it. Halfway through the shower, the phone rang. I turned off the water and went to pick it up, dripping wet soap lather onto the linoleum. Yes. This is Maxine, dear. Hello, Maxine. The protector wishes to see you in his office today at 8:30. Thank you. No problem, dear. I hung up and went back into the shower. The hot water hit me with a satisfying rush, soothing my muscles. The phone rang. I growled and stomped back to the phone without bothering to shut off the water. What? You've got some fucking nerve calling me in the morning, Jim growled. Forgive me for disturbing your beauty sleep, I snarled. What the hell did you call me for? I want to claw your eyes open and give me a list of pack murders, locations, times, and so on. You know, that's classified information. Who the fuck do you think you are? I'm the only person that gives a shit. Look out the window. You see a line of people waiting to help your furry asses? I slammed the phone and returned to the shower. The absence of steam should have alerted me, but I foolishly stepped right into the ice-cold cascade. While I was talking, the shower had run out of hot water. Choking the shower pipe would not bring the hot water back, as satisfying as it might feel. So I turned the shower off and towel dried. It was going to be one of those days. I'm sorry, but I do have a prior engagement. So we're just going to have to figure out how that date went on a later date. Is that okay? I know, I was enjoying it too. But I'm sorry, I really do need to go. Thank you for coming by, I really appreciate it. So much love. Oh, thank you.